was in the 14th floor locker room having my cup of tea, and I heard the first airplane fly by and strike the towers. Really not realizing what happened, I ran to the window. We saw a gaping hole, flames, smoke, debris, and we heard over the radio, because I had already had my portable radio signed out, that a plane just flew into the Trade Center, call 911 from our perimeter patrol people. With that, I ran to the roof of the building, which was 18 stories, to get a better view, and was awestruck by the devastation. The one thing that I seem to remember, it looked like the paper that was coming from the building, just a steady stream. It almost looked like confetti from where we were. Then over the radio, we heard one of our patrol sergeants and patrol lieutenant. They were mobilizing a team of guys to respond down to the Trade Center. So I ran across street to the 100 Center Street location where they were getting together, and it was all the guys on the security detail who were all former military, volunteer firefighters, EMTs. My job, I was an emergency medical technician, so I handled all the aided cases within the building. Anytime you had a medical call, I would respond either to our building across the street. We've had pedestrians struck in the street. That was the focus of my day-to-day duties. We just knew that the EMS system was going to be overwhelmed, and we were going to respond down to assist EMS. We were grabbing first aid bags, oxygen. We took a jury bus down. We had our major, who was the commanding officer of both buildings, a sergeant, and a bunch of officers. We boarded the jury bus. We were going down White Street. We were somewhere in the vicinity of Broadway and White Street when we heard the second explosion, and then we heard over the radio, oh my God, another plane struck the second tower. And with that, our major turned around and said, this is fucked up. Guys, 1 plane's an accident, 2 is terrorism. So I can't speak for everybody, but I knew we were in for more than we were prepared to deal with. We were probably in over our heads. We ended up coming down Broadway, and we stopped in the vicinity of 7 World Trade Center. And we got off the bus, and with that, one of the officers that we worked with ran from the Canal Street subway station down Broadway because he saw the first plane hit, and reported it was Mitchell Wallace. And with that, there was a woman who was just carried out with a severe leg injury. And Mitch didn't bat an eye, got down on his hands and knees and started treating her. There was a photograph taken actually during that. And that was, as we later found out, probably last photograph that was ever taken of Mitch. I remember we were walking down, I believe it was Vesey Street, and we went to a Port Authority police car, because Port Authority police cars, they carry a self-contained breathing apparatus, because they're also firefighters. So we went to the car to try and grab air packs, because we were going to start making our way up to towers to help in the evacuation and treating the injured. There were no air packs. We went to a police emergency service truck. There were no air packs on that. So we kept making our way heading west towards Church Street. We saw wreckage from the airplane, or one of the airplanes, landing gear, engine parts. Didn't realize at the time, but there was a lot of confetti, other debris. And some of that debris turned out to be people that were jumping. Where we were, coming out of Building 5, they weren't allowing anybody to evacuate Tower 1 and Tower 2 because of the debris and the people jumping. So there was a steady stream of evacuees. We started making our way down the stairs, and I don't remember the order in which it happened. There was a woman clearly having a heart attack. We assisted her across street to the front of the Millennium Hotel. There was a triage station there. We dropped her off. We went back in. We grabbed some supplies from the ambulances there, started making our way back in. and there was a gentleman with a severe head laceration, had trouble walking. We brought him back to the triage station. On our third trip into the building, I was met up with Captain Harry Thompson and Officer Mitch Wallace. So it was myself, Tommy, Mitch, and Captain Thompson. And there was another court officer, Sergeant Pat Mayorino, at the front door guiding people out. And I remember her telling us, heads up, there's reports of more incoming aircraft. We ended up in the mall area. It was one level below street level in Tower 2. We came upon an area with there were a bunch of injured civilians, and then there was they were like park benches, like marble or terrazzo benches. There was one a little further with police officers, firefighters, and so we went to them first to check on them, and they were just taking a break. They said, no, we're fine. We just needed a breather, because our intention was to treat them so they could get back in the game and continue to assist. So we ended up where we were, at the mall level beneath Tower 2. There were it was about 6 civilians that I seem to remember. And we came in contact. There was a female, severely burned. I estimated over 60% burns to her body. And we didn't talk much, the three of us. Just go this way. You know, we all had a mission on our mind, and we were working like a well-oiled machine. So I turned around. I said, I'll take her, because she was the critical patient. Turned out to be the best decision of my entire life. Put her in a chair stretcher. I introduced myself to her. I remembered she was 32 years old. She came from the 78th floor. I couldn't remember her name. We started exiting the area. I got maybe 100 feet away. Somebody yelled, "Get down." I heard this horrible noise. I thought maybe it was an airplane flying into the building. There was this tremendous rush of air, followed by this debris. I was thrown to the ground and shot across the floor about 100 feet with my victim, and that was the building collapsing. Fortunately, we were just outside the collapse zone. It was the last time I saw Tommy, Harry, or Mitch. The individual, I later found out her name was Doris Torres. She had grabbed me by the shirt, had a death grip on me, wouldn't, please don't leave me, and I flat out lied to her. I couldn't see her. There was zero visibility. I had to put my face inside my shirt to breathe. Took out my little flashlight, and it did absolutely nothing. I don't think, all I saw was like a little orb of light that didn't project. And I told her, I said, "Sweetheart, don't worry, I promise we're getting out of here." It was perhaps the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced in my life. If I didn't have her, I probably would have curled up in a fetal position and just waited to die. She saved me. If our paths didn't cross, I would have been with Tommy, Harry, and Mitch. Miraculously, we made our way back to the same stairwell, and then we were in that corridor. I mean, I was lost, and there was limited visibility, but it was better than where it was. And there was somebody screaming, "Anybody down here, anybody down here?" We started screaming, and there was a Port Authority police officer, an FBI agent, and a civilian, and we all grabbed the corner of the chair, ran up the stairs to where we were, and it was a very, very different landscape. I came out, and everything was gray. There wasn't a sound to be heard. There was just this deafening silence. The triage area that we just left these last 2 people at, the ambulances were on fire, they were overturned. I was lost. I ended up finding out who Doris Torres was a couple of weeks later. Somebody came in for jury duty, and they had a New York hospital burn center ID. When they went through the magnetometers, one of the officers knew, because she had to have ended up there.
Right.
She couldn't give me any information. She wouldn't. we spoke on the phone and told her what I knew and everything. She said it sounded like there was somebody here. As a matter of fact, I went to New York Hospital's burn center on the 16th, and I didn't make it to the burn unit. But when I got there to the desk, they says, "Oh yeah, they're not. Nobody can go in. The nurses, everybody's busy. They just had a code, which means a cardiac arrest." And that was when Doris passed away. There were a lot of things. Did a lot of reflecting. Wanted to know why I'm here. Question God. Suffer survivor guilt. Post-traumatic stress. Spent 3 months waking up on the floor trying to feel my way out of my room. Talking about it's helped a bunch. And, you know, it was a horrible experience. I'm glad I did what I did. I know I made a difference to some people. I know Tommy, Harry, and Mitch were heroes not because they died, but because of how they lived. Do the right thing at all costs, even if it's your life. You're making a difference. Just do the right thing.